Hey y'all, so on this episode, I am going to discuss the book titled Stepmonster by Wednesday Martin. And the reason why I decided to discuss this book on my channel is because a couple of months ago, I recorded an episode titled Challenges / Advice of a Childless Stepmom. And if you don't know anything about me, definitely go and check out that video. You can get a little insight on who I am as a woman. But I am currently in this group on Reddit titled Stepparents, and somebody recommended the Audible to me. So I've been listening to it for the second time, and I'm like, let me record, let me put some information out there, continue to talk about my journey as a quote unquote step parent. If you don't know, I don't like that term because of the stigmas, and I'm going to talk about that as well. So in the book, she starts the book off by giving statistics about divorce rate, which she states that 50% of women will marry a man with children, but 75% of those marriages will end in divorce. Honestly, I was not taken back by those statistics for a number of reasons, in which I will discuss. She goes on to discuss her desire to having a wedding and how she ignored what people were saying because she, like most people, wanted the happy ending until she found her head in the sand. Wednesday Martin wrote the book specifically for women who become step parents. She states that children are more likely to accept the stepdad if he brings in income, brings mom companionship, and is nice to them. But the relationship with stepmoms is met with difficulty, and the stepchild resentment is intense. She states that there is this expectation that women are to be nurturers and should oppose some type of order on the house, which is angrily and bitterly resented by the stepchildren, even if she wants to be less involved in running the family. And just a disclaimer, I am paraphrasing what Wednesday Martin has stated in chapter 1 of her book. I'm not going to go through the entire book, but I do want to state my opinion on what she has stated. Many people go into the position of being a step parent with this ideal way of how they hope things will be. And then reality sets in. When I started dating my partner and eventually moved in, I overcompensated, and that quickly led to burnout. I then became aware that my partner's daughter didn't even want me there because she felt as if I was invading her territory. As her grandmother once stated, she was the woman of the house before I moved in. Such strong labels to place on a child. But I understood what she meant. She had every right to feel the way she felt. I started to look at things differently and also begin to operate accordingly. In my opinion, step parenting is a thankless job. Many times it's damn if you do and damn if you don't. Children have a tendency to only like the step parent when the step parent is doing things that they like. For example, a stepchild would love the step-parent as long as she or he caters to their needs. But once the step-parent corrects misbehavior, the dynamic of the relationship will change. And you may be met with words like, I don't like you. Anytime a person sets rules and instill boundaries and can't be manipulated, they will be met with those words or worse. In the beginning, I used to be upset, but now I realize I'm okay with not being liked, as long as there is mutual respect. Wednesday states that stepmoms are easier to hate and is demonized and labeled the evil dragon. We're pervasive in the culture. Many stepmoms turn themselves inside out to avoid the stigmas that are placed upon them. Studies have shown that stepmothers have the most problematic role in the family and experience difficulty adjusting. There are many books that are child-centered on how a stepmother should appease to the child, but Wednesday expressed how there were not many books on how stepmothers felt, which is more difficult to find. Remarriage counselors have stated that stepchildren have a great power of intentionally dividing the bio parent and the step parent. They also may pass along unkind messages or invite interference from other members of the other households, creating conflict and tremendous resentment. Wednesday goes on to state how children tend to set the emotional tone in the household, and pre-adolescents and adolescents are often the initiators of conflict. In my opinion, most of the time it's not the child, but it's the bio parents who lack of parenting causes chaos and imbalance within the household. Many bio parents have gone through traumatic situations such as divorce or the death of the other partner. They then parent from guilt or shame and many times become the Disney parent because they want to fulfill a missing piece to the puzzle. This shows up through the lack of intentionality, not setting rules, inconsistency in consequences, and the child becomes aware and manipulates it. Hey, why wouldn't they if they can watch TV all day, spend majority of the day on social media apps, and eat a bunch of junk food? As the outside person looking in, most will label the parent as a great parent because the child is well behaved in the company of others, until you have a partner who moves in and then he or she has an epiphany. No one likes to be judged on their parenting skills or lack of, especially coming from a person who doesn't have children of their own. And when you do voice concerns, you may be hit with words like, everything she does isn't a problem, or I can't force my child to speak to you if she doesn't want to. But on the flip side, the bio parent expects the step parent to be engaging and fully fledged. The bio parent will make excuses like, she's just a child, as if children, especially preteens and teenagers, aren't aware of their actions or how they make others feel. Step parents are outsiders. I had to learn to accept that, and will continue to feel that way for years to come, according to Wednesday Martin. I feel like an outsider even when it's not intentional, but I always keep in mind that everything changes eventually. I find myself keeping myself busy and focusing more on my goals. Step parents tend to lose themselves trying to fit into a non-nuclear family. We must remember we have lives of our own to fulfill, and it doesn't always include our partners or their children. Step parents notice behaviors that may not even exist if the child was biologically theirs. For example, bio parents may not invite the step parent to, let's say, a graduation, but expect the step parent to take the child to a school event. Or, from a previous experience of mine, not put the step parent down as an emergency contact at the school, but expect the step parent to pick the child up when there is an emergency. These are things that I've experienced, and I must say step parents must take care of themselves and allow the bio parent to figure things out. One should not exist only when needed. You are not a slave or a maid. Also, no is a complete sentence. Here are some solutions. Set boundaries and stick to them. Even then, the bio parent might be upset. After listening to this audible and doing research, most bio parents don't even like parenting. They want to alleviate some of their responsibilities and place them onto their partner. And many times, if the step parent doesn't engage with the child as the bio parent expects, you may be called selfish or hit with projection in words like, you don't like my child, or you're always trying to isolate yourself from him or her. I find it funny because most parents don't even like their own children. Or let me say, they don't like spending time with them. But expect the person who didn't birth the child to like them. And who's to say that the child likes the step-parent? As stated, set boundaries even when those words of projection are thrown. I've come to realize that my role is to support my partner and to pour into my relationship while being cordial and respectful to his daughter. It becomes a lot easier when you realize how much power you have, even as an outsider in a blended family. My purpose is not to overcompensate or become exhausted trying to please others. Unlike many bio parents, I feel no guilt because guilt is a useless emotion. In many situations or observations, I say to myself, not my monkey, not my circus, unless it's impacting me directly. Definitely check out Stepmonster if you are either a stepmother or going into becoming a stepmother. And I would definitely recommend the book for bio parents as well, so that the bio parents can get an insight on what stepmothers actually feel and what they go through. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Peace.